Michigan State's Jalen Watts-Jackson, and he's scored.
45, there goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football
Welcome back to another episode here, another show of the Ian Fritts Show. I'm Ian Fritts, obviously. And we've got our Week 6 preview for college football, guys. You know, we're moving right along. Started this back in Week 2, Week 3. It's a good time. Week 6, we're doing well. I'm having fun. You guys are having fun. It's a good time here at the Ian Fritts Show. We've got a new fancy chair. I'm in a spinny chair now. Pretty good for us. We're getting things. Soon we're going to have something in the background here. We're working on it. We're working on things. Not everything is perfect at the beginning, guys. And that's something you guys need to know. That's something I need to know, personally. But we're working on it. We're trying to make things better, and we're going to get it done, okay? But we've got a packed show, a little bit of different order from the show. I'm trying to work out what the best order for the show is, and I'm thinking I like this order and how this is going to be. So you'll know the order already. I'll put it up there right now. Boom, it's up there. It's been up there probably since the beginning. And if you guys aren't following the Twitter, the X, at Ian Fritts Show, make sure you follow that on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. It's a good time over there. Without further ado, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got huge games this weekend. Couple rivalry games, some fun games. We've got OU Texas, Red River Rivalry. Now, some people call it the Red River Showdown, the Red River Shootout. Get out of here with that garbage, okay? It's the Red River Rivalry forever, and it will always be known as that, okay? Red River Rivalry. Tongue twister, but that's what we call it. OU Texas, going to be a fun one. Texas, number 3 team in the country. Got a lot going on there. We'll get into that game a little later. Then we've got Kentucky, Georgia. Woo! That one's going to be fun, guys. Number 1 team in the country. Frauds. You guys know how I feel about Georgia being number 1. I still think they're really good, but number 1, let's get rid of that garbage, okay? Going to be a fun one. Going to be a fun one down there in Athens. Then we got Bama A&M this weekend as well. A lot of fun games. Those 3 are the ones I'm going to go over. There's many more, but I've got a jam-packed show with just those 3 games, so I want to hit those because those are the ones I'm most looking forward to this weekend, and I want to get you guys prepared for those games, okay? Then we've got our Week 6 picks. Then we've got, what am I going to do for the picks this weekend? We're continuing to win, which is good, but I got to take a sip from our little cup here. Still going with the straw. And now let's get into OU Texas. Red River Rivalry, excuse me. There's a lot to talk about in this game, guys. You got Quinn Ewers down there in Austin, Texas quarterback. He's balling out this year. You got Dillon Gabriel in Norman. He's balling out this year. Nobody's really talking about Dillon Gabriel, though. A little quiet on the national media about Dillon Gabriel right now. 2 big-time quarterbacks, 2 big-time defenses right now this year, guys. Now, a lot of people hearing about the OU defense, but they haven't played anybody. But this Texas defense, guys, now, you'll hear these headlines. Texas hasn't played any quarterbacks. They're only playing backup quarterbacks. Is that true? It is. It is true. However, the defense is still doing what it needs to do if you're Texas. If you're a Texas fan, you still have to be happy with how your defense has performed up to this point in the season against the quarterbacks you're playing. Yes, Jalen Milroe is probably the best quarterback that you've played up until this point. Granted, is Jalen Milroe a world beater? No, he's not. He's not by any means. But you guys did what you beat them. You did what you needed to do against them, and that's all you can ask for if you're Longhorn fans, okay? Same goes for OU. Is Quinn Ewers going to be the best quarterback that OU has faced up until this point in the 2023 season? Yes, Quinn Ewers is going to be the best quarterback they've faced. Texas is going to be the best team they faced by far. Some could say that Alabama's the best team that Texas has faced. Judging by the way they've played and what we've seen from OU and Bama up until this point, I would argue that OU's the best team that Texas has played or is going to play up until this point in the season. And we'll get into the numbers right now, guys, okay? Scoring defense for both teams, top 10 in both teams, very good from both teams. Texas is ranked 8th right now, 8th in the country in scoring defense. Then you've got OU up there at number 4. And one thing that sticks out to me looking at the scoring defenses for both of these teams you can go into it and be like, well, OU hasn't played anybody on offense. The offenses they're playing are really bad. And then you'd be like, well, okay, let's look at Texas's offenses and see who they're playing, if they're really bad or not, okay? And if you look at the numbers, I looked at the numbers, so you guys don't have to. That's why you watch the show. And you look into it, yeah, OU hasn't played any good offenses. This is true. And I went to the numbers, and since OU's defense has performed well this year, I took out the game that those teams played against OU because they performed worse in all of those games, in the games that they played OU compared to the rest of their season, okay? So I took out their game, the OU game, and I did the same for Texas. And on average, OU's opponents' offense, they rank 70th in the country. Now, 70th is not very good. Not very good. Texas's opponents, offensively, ranked 52nd in the country, okay? Not good at all as well, okay? 70th, 52nd. Not great. Both outside the top 50. Now, if you look at it, you'd be like, wow, 20 teams in between OU's average and Texas's average opposing offenses. You'd be like, man, that must be like 10 points. Wrong. It's only 3 points. Only 3 points separate the 50th best offense and the 70th best offense, okay? So, comparatively, they're going against pretty much the same offenses overall in the country, okay? And you can go into that. You can take that several ways. Are the defenses overblown in how they play and how they perform? Or they're doing what they need to do against poor offenses. And I tend to lean that the defenses are both really good. And here's a couple things why. Specifically for OU, you look at their first half defense versus their second half defense. And this showed in their last game against Iowa State, okay? If you guys watched that game, if you watched the recap, I told you a little bit about it. OU, in the first half, their defense ranks 22nd in the country. 22nd. Still good, still top 25, still a good defense. You'd be proud to have that defense every year, okay? Second half defense, second in the country, giving up only 2.8 points in the second half on average, okay? That's huge. That's huge. 20 points up. That tells me that Brent Venables and the defensive coaching staff down there in Norman, Oklahoma, they're making halftime adjustments. And this is something that OU fans have been longing for. They've been longing for adjustments to be made on the defensive side of the ball, okay? Because in the previous regime, in the previous ownership of the team under Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch, you guys know this, over there at USC, they don't make adjustments. They didn't make adjustments when they were in Norman, Oklahoma. They're not making adjustments over there in Los Angeles. But this defensive regime under Brent Venables, they're making adjustments. 22nd in the first half to second in the second half, okay? That's huge for a team. The amount that you guys could... Maybe you're getting gashed in the first half. Iowa State put up 20 points in the first half. Really, in the first 18 minutes of the game, they put up 20 points. After that, Iowa State didn't score a single point, okay? That goes to OU making adjustments during the game and also at halftime. They're making adjustments. They're seeing what those opposing offenses are doing, and they're changing their defensive scheme. They're calling different plays. They're giving the offense different looks. Maybe they're going to 3 down linemen instead of 4. Maybe they're going odd front instead of even front. Whatever they're doing, whatever they're seeing the opposing offense do and have success with, they're making adjustments and they're changing it. That's huge for a team like Oklahoma going into a game against the Texas Longhorns. Okay, in a big rivalry game, you have to have the ability to make adjustments. Now, I suspect that Texas is actually a slow starter team. Okay, what does this tell me? Well, it's kind of weird looking at it, guys. So OU's a slow starter on defense, slow relatively speaking, still 22nd in the country. Texas is a slow starter on offense, 40th in the country in the first half. Okay, so a little bit of a weakness versus weakness there. Not technically a weakness. I would still say that's a strong suit for Oklahoma. But the point still stands. Texas is a slow starter on offense versus OU's slowish starts on defense. Okay? What does that show us? What does that tell us? It doesn't really tell us much, to be honest with you, because Texas starting off slow gives Texas the ability to make adjustments to what OU is doing defensively. Now, I presume that this is going to be a lower scoring game. Now, I've seen some people say this is going to be a higher scoring game. There's going to be points scored in this game. I'm not saying there's not. I'm not saying it's going to be 10-7. However, if you made me put money on it, is it going to be 10-7 or is it going to be 39-35? I would err on the side of 10-7. I really would. So I think it's going to be in the range of 24, 28, somewhere between there. In the 20s. I think this game's in the 20s, guys. I really do. And it's because both of these defenses are doing what they need to do. Now, they haven't played offenses of this caliber. Both offenses are high-caliber offenses. Both in the top 15. Both very good offense. OU, second in the country. Texas, 19th in the country. Excuse me, that was top 20, not top 15. Both offenses are good. However, I think, judging what I've seen from both teams and what I've interpreted from the numbers, I think both defenses are going to shine in this game. I really do. I think both defenses are going to shine. Now, another thing that I'm looking at, other than the team's ability to make adjustments, and OU's shown the ability to make adjustments defensively, and Texas, who struggles a little bit in the first half, has shown the ability to make offensive adjustments in the second half. So I'm excited to look at that. I'm excited to look at this game in the second half, where Texas performs really well in the second half, and OU's defense performs really well in the second half. I'm excited to see those two go against each other. Maybe the first half is a little bit of a downer. Maybe it's 7-7. I don't know. But where those teams struggle a little bit, I'm excited to see where they excel in the second half of making adjustments. The second thing I'm going to look for in this game is the running attack of the Texas Longhorns versus the rush defense of the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, if you look at the numbers, both rush defenses are good, both only allowing 3 rush yards per attempt for the opposing teams, okay? Now, Texas has a good rush offense, okay? They started getting things going with Jonathan Brooks now. He was averaging 10 yards a carry last week against Kansas, and Kansas had a top 30 rush defense going into last weekend, okay? So you can't just say Kansas, they're always bad on defense. Well, they had a nice rush defense up until Jonathan Brooks ran for 220 yards against them. So could that be the case against this week's Oklahoma team? Now, it could be. If Texas does that, they win the game. If Jonathan Brooks rushes for 220 yards, Texas wins this game. Come back to this clip if that happens and Texas doesn't win this game, because that will be shocking, okay? And give credit to OU's defense for making adjustments if that happens, because that'll be how they win. I'll be looking at a couple of things in the rush defense. Now, there's one guy for OU, Danny Stutzman. I told you guys, I teased it last week. Danny Stutzman, I think he's going to have a big day if OU wins the game, particularly in the rush defense, okay? If you watch OU games, this guy's flying around the field, left side of the field, the right side of the field, rushing the quarterback, blitzing the quarterback, coming around the edge, making run defense stops, tackles for losses. This guy's been a stud all year. Potential stud muffin type of game that Danny Stutzman could have in the Red River rivalry. It's got to start in the run game. It's got to start in the rush defense for Danny Stutzman for the Oklahoma Sooners. If he has a big day stopping the run, because I think Texas's offensive line rush offense is starting to get things going. They're starting to roll. They're starting to double team the defensive linemen really well and work up to the linebackers. Now, OU's defensive line has done a great job setting the edge and getting off blocks in the run game, okay? That's why they're a top rush defense in the country right now. If Texas's offensive line can have success against the defensive line of Oklahoma, then it puts a lot of strain on the linebackers of Oklahoma, particularly Danny Stutzman. Now, if that happens, he's going to have a big day. He's going to have to make those tackles in the open field. He's going to have to get off those blocks from the offensive line when they're working up to the second level. And he's going to have to make big plays. Now, in the rush defense, as well as when he's blitzing. You guys know this, Brent Venables loves to throw a lot of blitzes at quarterbacks. He loves to throw a lot of blitzes. Danny Stutzman's going to have to blitz the quarterback well, and he's going to have to get home. Okay, one thing that you can critique a little bit about OU right now, they're not getting the sack numbers that they would like. They're getting a lot of quarterback hurries. They're getting a lot of pressures. Okay, if you look at the numbers, they're doing that well. But they're not getting home. They need to set the edge well. They need to set it better with their defensive ends or their linebackers if they're doing loops and stunts and that stuff. So Quinn Ewers has to work his way up into the pocket instead of working his way out of the pocket. If that happens, I think Texas is going to have success, okay? So you've got the rush defense for OU versus the rush offense. Danny Stutzman, boop, 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 potential stud muffin type of a game. If he's able to stop the run well when Jonathan Brooks and the other Texas running backs are working their way up to the second level, and they're not instead of 25-yard gains or 15 yards gains, they're seeing Danny Stutzman in the hole and they're getting 3-yard gains, Texas is going to have a long day. And I think that's a key for OU in their success in this game this weekend. Another thing I'm looking at, Texas, can they protect the quarterback? Can the offensive lines for both teams, not just Texas, can they protect their quarterbacks? Texas is giving up 2 sacks per game. Now, 2 sacks doesn't seem like a lot, and if you look at it, it's 30th in the country, bottom 30 in the country, 2 sacks. Okay, that's not great. That's not great. You don't want to be giving up 2 sacks per game. You want to be doing what OU's doing. They're only giving up about an eighth of a sack, not an eighth of a sack a game, 0.8 sacks per game. Now, who can protect the quarterback? Because I honestly think this, a lot of people are saying the rush offenses are going to have success, particularly Texas. OU hasn't shown the ability to run the ball, so I think they're going to have to throw it anyways. Texas has shown the ability to run the ball, but I think OU's rush defense is going to be able to prevail and going to be able to stifle them. So I think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks in this game, and I think it's going to come down to their play. And I think it's going to come down to the offensive line's ability to protect them. Whose quarterback is on the ground the least? And not just sacks. Who's getting out of the pocket when there's pressure? Who's working their way up into the pocket? Is it going to be Quinn Ewers or is it going to be Dylan Gabriel? That's a good question. Now, OU's defensive line, I just told you, they have success rushing the quarterback, getting pressures and QB hurries. They're doing that well this year. They are. However, they're not getting home. So, can they get home against a Texas offensive line that's better at run blocking? Can they do that? Can they get home against Texas offensive line that's shown a little bit of weakness in the pass pro? That'll be another thing to watch in this game. Last thing I'm looking for in this game, who wants it the most? Who wants it the most? Who wants it the most? I think both teams want it, to be honest with you. I do. But I think OU wants this more. Why? Couple things. They lost 49-0 last year. Okay, pitiful performance from the Oklahoma Sooners last year. 49-0. They got absolutely embarrassed. Now, if I were to lose 49-0 and I go play my biggest rival the next year, they're having a great year. They're about to play the best team they've played all year. You're about to play the best team you've played all year. Would I want it more than they want it? Of course I would. So I think OU may want it more. Does that mean they're going to win? No. But who needs it more? That's the question. Who needs this win more? Now, I think Texas needs this more. There's headlines, who needs this more? I don't know. I didn't read any of the articles, but I don't even think that's a question. Texas needs this game more. If OU loses this game, I mean, yes, they're supposed to lose this game. This isn't the end of the Brent Venables era, okay? Texas loses this game, Sark's not out by any means. They beat Alabama, but they couldn't get over that OU hurdle when they have their best team in years. They couldn't beat a good defense when they have their best offense, their best overall team in years. They couldn't do it. That'll be the storyline leaving this game if OU wins, okay? And they very well may meet up in the Big 12 championship game in Dallas come December. I think that's the most likely scenario. But the things you want to watch for in this game, the team's ability to make adjustments coming out of the halftime, whatever the score may be, whatever it looks like, OU on defense, Texas on offense. They've shown it all year. Can they do it in this game? Another thing, the rush offense of Texas versus the rush defense, particularly Danny Stutzman for the Oklahoma Sooners, potential stud muffin. We're watching for him. You guys better watch for him too. What does that matchup look like? What does it shake out to? I give the slight edge to Texas in that facet of the game right now. I do. And then you've got the offensive line's pass protecting abilities. Can Texas protect Quinn Ewers? Can Oklahoma protect Dylan Gabriel? I give the slight edge to OU's pass protection over Texas's pass protection. Now, if you boil all of these things down, you look at the numbers, who's going to win the game? I think Texas wins the game. I do. I think Texas wins the game. That's not my pick against the spread, but I think Texas wins the game outright. Historically, whoever runs the ball better wins the game. And I think Texas runs the ball better. I don't think they're running for 250 yards like they did last week against Kansas, or 400 yards or whatever it was. I don't think Jonathan Brooks has a 200-yard game. I think they run for maybe 130 yards, but I don't think OU gets above 100 yards rushing. And boils down to that. I think Texas wins the game because of that. However, I think it's still a close game, and I think OU doesn't cover. I don't think they cover. The spread right now is 6.5, and the pick for the game is telling me Texas. The gut is telling me Texas against the spread. Now, I picked Texas games. I've been wrong all year, but that's the pick for the Texas-Oklahoma game. I think Texas wins, and I think they cover the spread, okay? That's the OU-Texas game. A lot to look for in that game. Going to be a fun one. Always a fun one. Hopefully you guys are looking out for the things that I just laid out. Going to be a fun one down there in Dallas. I wish I was going to be there. Next game on the agenda, Kentucky-Georgia. Got to take a sip for this one. That was a big sip. Water's good for you. Make sure you guys are drinking water, okay? Next game on the agenda, we got Kentucky-Georgia. Now, if you guys watched the recap show for Week 5, I recapped Kentucky's game against Florida and Georgia's game against Auburn. A couple things stood out to me in those games. Obviously, Kentucky's ability to run the ball. And obviously, Georgia's ability not to stop the run of Auburn. Now, Auburn ran the ball a little differently than what Kentucky does, with QB options, QB read options, veers, and whatnot. However, if you look at the numbers for Georgia all year, they haven't been able to stop the run all year. They are, I believe, they're 58th in rush defense, okay? 58th out of all the teams in college football. 58th. That's not good. And these stats that I'm giving you guys, by the way, are against FBS opponents only. They're not against the FCS teams and the nobodies of the world. These are against FBS teams, okay? 58th in the country at stopping the run. That's not good, Georgia. You guys got to be better if you want to win against Kentucky this weekend. Now, the other thing I'm looking for in this game is on the other side of the line. Kentucky. It's Ray Davis. It's the Kentucky rush offense. They lead the country in rush yards per attempt. This is a whopping number. 6.8 rush yards per attempt. That is massive. If they run the ball against Georgia like that, if they get 7 yards per rush against Georgia, they win the game. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. If they run for 7 yards attempt against Georgia, they win this game. I have no doubts about that. No doubts about that. Now, the question is, can they do that? Can they do that? And you'd be like, you're probably thinking to yourself, Ian, Kentucky hasn't played a good run defense all year. That's why they have such good rush numbers. They haven't played anybody. They haven't played any good rush defenses. And if you look at the numbers after the Florida game, the first rush defense you would find on their schedule would be Florida at I believe, about 50 right now. And that's because Florida went from a top 15 rush defense, to 50th after they played Kentucky. So going into that Kentucky-Florida game, Florida had a top 15 run defense. They did. So Florida was holding opponents to 3.8 yards a carry. Going 3.5 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry going into the Kentucky game. Kentucky ran for 9.8 yards a carry against them, okay? So the notion that Kentucky hasn't played a good run defense, they have. They played Florida last weekend, and Florida had a better run defense than Georgia does. Currently, all year. All year. Florida had a better run defense than Georgia does. Now, do I think Kentucky can get it going against Georgia on the ground based on what I've just said? I do. I think they can. Now, do I think they run for 7 like they've been doing all year? I don't think they do because Georgia has better athletes than the teams that they've played. Now, rush defense-wise, they don't have better stats, but they have better athletes. And I tend to lean on the side that the athletes are going to figure it out. It may not look pretty numbers-wise, but I think the athletes are going to figure it out and have the ability to stop the run. Now, if they can make Kentucky one-dimensional, if they can take the run away, and make Devin Leary throw the ball. Now, Kentucky brought in Devin Leary to throw the ball. NC State transfer. They brought him in to throw the ball. They have weapons on the receiving core for West Virginia. They brought him in to throw it, and they haven't used him all year. Why? Because they have the best rush offense in the country, so they don't really need him. But if Georgia can take that away, if they stack the box and make Kentucky throw it, I think Georgia's got a chance. I think Georgia has a chance. Of course Georgia has a chance. They're the number one team in the country as of now. They always have a chance. Do they have a chance to blow Kentucky out? No, I think this is going to be a close game. But if they stack the box, they put 8 guys in the box and make Kentucky throw the ball, I trust Georgia's defensive backs to lock down Kentucky's weapons. I do. I think Georgia has a better secondary than Kentucky has receivers and tight ends. I think that's going to be a pivotal point in this game and thing to look out for in this game. So you've got Kentucky's rush offense, particularly Ray Davis, and then you've got Georgia's run defense. Are they going to stack the box and force Kentucky to throw it? Are they going to force Devin Leary to make throws with his arm? I think they are, and I think that's how I would attack Kentucky. I would just stack the box and make Kentucky throw it. Because they haven't shown the ability to do that. They haven't needed to. So I would make them do something they haven't needed to do all year. I would take away the run game. Now, easier said than done. Can they do it? I think they can. And I think that's what they're going to do going into this game. Now, obviously, another thing that you want to look at in this game, Brock Bowers, okay? You've got to, if you're Kentucky, if you're the Wildcats, Mark Stoops, you're watching this probably. I texted you earlier today. I didn't. I wish I did. If you're watching this, listen to me. I don't care what you do in this game. I don't care how you do it, but you got to take Brock Bowers away. I don't care if you put 8 guys on him. Georgia hasn't shown anything. If they take away Brock Bowers, that's their offense right now. Put 8 guys on him and make Carson Beck throw to somebody else on the team. Make them run the ball. I don't care. But you got to take away Brock Bowers. You got to do it in whatever fashion it might be. Maybe you do what some teams did to Calvin Johnson when he was in the NFL. You put 2 guys on him right on the line of scrimmage. You make sure he doesn't go anywhere. You make sure Brock Bowers doesn't get the ball. Kentucky did that last year. Brock Bowers only had 1 catch in this game last year. You make sure Brock Bowers doesn't have any catches in this game. Now, a player of that caliber, he's going to find a way to get the ball, and Georgia's going to find a way to scheme him the ball, maybe in the run game, maybe with a reverse or a toss sweep, because he's shown the ability to run the ball. They've handed it off to him this year. Maybe in the screen game, they do a little tight end screen with Brock Bowers. I don't know. Georgia's going to find a way to get Brock Bowers the ball, but when they're not calling plays specifically for Brock Bowers, Kentucky has to find a way. Maybe they bracket him. Maybe they put 1 guy on him, and then another guy hovers over him. I don't know what they do. But they've got to find a way to take Brock Bowers out of the game when it's not a play directly going to Brock Bowers. When it's just your regular pass play, your regular play action, you've got to find a way to take Brock Bowers out of the play. You've got to find a way to scheme him out of the game. And then Kentucky, you're in the driver's seat in this game. If you're running the ball well and you take Brock Bowers out, there's no way Georgia will win this game. If Kentucky rushes for over 200 yards and Brock Bowers has less than 3 catches, less than 5 catches for Brock Bowers, and Kentucky rushes for 200 yards or more, Kentucky wins the game. Kentucky wins that game. And you may be saying, Ian, that's not the craziest of predictions. And it's probably not, but it's prediction, and that's what you came here to see. And that's what I think could happen. We'll get into the pick here in a second after I give you a stud muffin for this game. Let me take a sip here. In this game, we have the first ever potential 2-time stud muffin, okay? And you may be thinking, Ian, it's going to be Brock Bowers, obviously, stud muffin. It's not Brock Bowers, it's Ray Davis. I gave out Brock Bowers and Ray Davis. This is also, alert, first game of the year with 2 stud muffins in it. Really good game for us, really good game for the Ian Fritts Show. I'll be tuning into this one. Ray Davis, running back for Kentucky, can he have a game like he did last week against Florida? He ran all over Florida. He's still running against Florida. He's getting touchdowns. He's still in the end zone, dancing, turning it up in there. That guy ran all over the field last week against Florida. Can he do it again this week against against Georgia? If he does, if he has a game like he did last week against Florida, this dude's in the Heisman Trophy conversation. Forget the certified stud muffins, even though it's the most prestigious award in all of college football. And he'll be eating his muffins at his Heisman Trophy ceremony if he continues to have the year like he did against Florida. So look out for Ray Davis. Potential stud muffin in the game. Look out for Georgia's ability to stop the run. Can they do it? Do they stack the box? I think they do. Do they make Kentucky throw the ball? And look out for Kentucky's ability to stop Brock Bowers. Can they stop Brock Bowers? Do they bracket him? Do they put 8 guys on him? Probably not. That'd be dumb. I don't know what they do, but they've got to stop Brock Bowers, and I know their coaches are trying to figure out what to do in this game. So you've got Ray Davis, potential stud muffin in this game. Look out for that. Going to be a fun one. I'm excited to watch this game. Going to be fun. Last game I want to talk about, Bama A&M. Bama A&M. Last time this game was in College Station, you guys remember how it happened? 2 years ago, you had the OU-Texas game. Caleb Williams coming in, saving the day. And then that night, you had Texas A&M beat Alabama as 21-point underdogs. Fun game to watch. It was one of the best days of college football that I can remember. Is it going to be kind of the same Saturday this weekend? Are we going to have another fairy tale Saturday this weekend of just incredible games, and you're just sitting on your couch and you're like taking it all in? Wow, I cannot believe what I'm watching on my big screen, on my flat screen TV right now. I cannot believe I just watched that game go into quadruple overtime. I cannot believe I just watched Kentucky upset Georgia. I cannot believe I just watched A&M throw a Hail Mary to win the game against Alabama. Is it going to be that type of weekend? Is it? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. A&M Bama. The headlines going into this game, I've watched some shows, I've read some articles. People are saying that Alabama's starting to get their groove. They're starting to find their way. They're starting to be like the Alabama team that people were saying they were going to be going into this year. I disagree. The numbers tell you that they are starting to find a groove and they're starting to do what people thought they would do going into this year. However, for once, I'm going to disagree with the numbers. I'm going to disagree with my precious numbers over here for this game and this game only. Why is that? Number one, Alabama, their offense is abysmal. And then actually the numbers that I agree with actually tell you that. Their offense is abysmal and everybody knows it. Their offense put up big numbers against Mississippi State last weekend. They started getting things going. They started running the ball with their quarterback more often. Jalen Milroe, his name was blanking in my mind for a second there. Jalen Milroe. They started running more quarterback runs. They started doing play action, throw it deep. That's what they started doing against Mississippi State. However, Mississippi State is the worst defense in the country. They're abysmal. They're so bad at football right now, Mississippi State. And I'm sorry, those Bulldogs down there, but they're horrible. They're horrible. So I think a lot of the media, a lot of the national media, not me, I'm national media, but I'm not on the Alabama high right now. I'm not on that high. They played an atrocious Mississippi State team, okay? And then the week before that, they played an atrocious Ole Miss defense. Now, the defense for Alabama is still legit. But the offense, it concerns me mightily in this game. It really does. It's a huge concern for me going into this game. They haven't shown it against a good defense. And A&M has a good defense. They have a defense that is able to perform well against potent offenses. Okay? A&M's defense right now ranks in the country 26th overall. Okay? That's pretty good. Top 30, top 26 in the country. Alabama's offense is 69th, 37th in the country. Alabama's offense, 37th. Not good at all. Really bad, actually. If you're Alabama, you shouldn't be the 37th ranked offense in the country. You should perform well. And I haven't seen it against a team that shows me their offense is real. Against poor teams, they've shown it. But and even really against Ole Miss, their defense not even that good, and they didn't even show the ability to perform well. They only scored 24 points. So really, even given that, they beat the worst team in the SEC by 1 million. Everybody thought they would. It was a pick. It was a lock last week. Everybody thought Alabama would destroy Mississippi State, and they did. They did what they needed to do. Now, can A&M's backup quarterback, Max Johnson, he's playing. If you didn't hear the news, Connor Wegman, A&M's starting quarterback for the year, got hurt last weekend, a couple weeks ago. He's been out. Can Max Johnson, not a scrub by any means, but he's not an elite quarterback by any means, I wouldn't say. So, can Bama confuse him? Defensively, Bama's still elite. Still very good defense, okay? Can their defense confuse Max Johnson? Can they make him throw good throws? Can they make him throw it into tight windows? Can they make him read a defense and perform well? I think that's going to be a key. What is Alabama going to do defensively to confuse Max Johnson? Now, he's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot of defenses. He's seen a lot of coverages, but he's not an elite arm. He's not an elite quarterback. So Bama, with their elite defense, I think they confuse him, and I think they make him make mistakes to win the game. If Alabama wins this game, I think it's because they force Max Johnson into 2 or 3 interceptions. Maybe they strip sack him for a couple fumbles. I think that's what the game looks like for Alabama if they win. I think that's their key to success. It's not through their offense. Obviously, everybody knows that. I think it's through their ability to force turnovers from Max Johnson in this game. I think it's the ability to force interceptions with that elite secondary they have down there in Tuscaloosa. And I think it's their ability to rush the quarterback with that elite defensive line. I think that's what the success looks like for Alabama in this game. Now, what does the success look like for A&M? A&M's starting to get things going on offense and defense, coming off that Miami game that was poor. They're starting to get things going. Everybody knows how much talent A&M has. A&M has some of the most talent in the entire country, and they're starting to use their talent well. Success for A&M, to me, from what I've seen, it looks like Max Johnson getting the ball to his wide receivers. It looks like Max Johnson throwing the ball to Evan Stewart. Get your sirens going. Yes. Get them going. Woo, woo, woo. We have another potential certified stud muffin in this game from the A&M side of the football. His name's Evan Stewart. Okay? If you guys heard of Evan Stewart, he's an absolute animal on the offensive side of the ball. Elite wide receiver, 5-star coming out of high school. Everybody wanted this kid. Ultimately, A&M in that bag that they threw at him got him to go to A&M. But this kid isn't just living it up in college. He's playing real football. And he's absolutely balling out this year. He had a catch last weekend against Arkansas that was chef's kiss. It was nice. It was wow. Okay, it was a play that makes you go wow. For me, for A&M to win this game, Evan Stewart's got to have a big game. Can he get loose in the Bama secondary that I just called elite a few moments ago, and it is elite? Can he get loose back there? Can he run free? Can he make plays after the catch? He's got the ability to make big catches, one-hand catches, huge catches on the sideline, in the end zone. He's got that ability. And he's also got the ability after the catch to perform well. Can he make defenders miss if he catches a slant? Does he have the ability to take it 80 yards to the house on a slant? He does. And if A&M's to win this game, I think he makes plays like that in this game. I think he has a certified stud muffin type of a game. I think Evan Stewart, I think he's the key, one of the keys. I think he's the offensive key for A&M to win this game. I think he has a huge day for A&M to win the game. That's why he's on the potential stud muffin counter. Another thing that A&M can do in this game to have success. Now, I think Alabama's going to focus on the run. That's what they've been doing all year. And I think that's their key on offense. However, when they're forced into pass situations, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 7, stuff like that, A&M has the highest sack percentage in the country, okay? 15%. They finally got those 5-star defensive linemen working. Walter Nolan, you could have been a potential certified stud muffin in this game, but for me, I think your defensive line as a whole is going to have a big day if you guys win the game. And offensively, if you perform well, I think it's because of Evan Stewart. So that's why you're not a potential certified stud muffin. Sorry to you. But Bama's O-line in pass pro has been weak all year, okay? It'll be huge to watch this battle. Offensive line and pass protection for A&M versus Texas A&M's 5-star studded defensive linemen. Can they get to the quarterback? They've done it all year. Can they get to the quarterback against Alabama? That's going to be a thing to watch. Now, who do I got winning this game? Who do I have against the spread in this game? Who do I have? This was one where I'm just going to lead into the picks here. This is one where I was going back and forth a little bit. And my gut, you guys know I like to go with the gut. The gut is telling me Texas A&M wins the game outright. Plus 2.5 for Texas A&M. I think they win this game. And I think it's because Evan Stewart has a day. I think it's because Evan Stewart and that defensive line for Texas A&M show out and they ball out and they use their talent that they were given with those 5-stars coming out of high school. I think Texas A&M wins this game. Let's get into the picks. The rest of them, I already gave you the Texas OU game. I think Texas wins, and I think they win against the spread as well. I forgot to give you the Kentucky versus Georgia game. 14.5 is the spread for Kentucky-Georgia. I think Kentucky loses the game. I think Georgia wins the game down there in Athens. I think home field is big in this game. But I think Kentucky covers. I think Georgia wins by maybe 10, 7, something around there. But I think Kentucky covers the spread. Next game up, we've got Michigan, Minnesota. Michigan coming off their best performance all year last week against Nebraska. The spread, minus 19.5. They're playing up in Minnesota. I think Michigan handles this game as well. I think Michigan's starting to fire on all cylinders. And I think they cover this game, minus 19.5. Michigan, I think they cover. Ohio State, Maryland, minus 19.5. Similar spread, exact same spread as the Michigan game. I think Ohio State. Now, Maryland, should they be ranked? Absolutely. I don't know what the AP poll voters are doing, but they're messing up. Maryland, 5-0, they look good, but they don't win this game. They don't cover this spread. Ohio State, coming off their bye week, they're going to roll them. I think they beat them by 25, 26, somewhere around there. I think they cover this game. I think TreVeyon Henderson has a huge day. I don't think Maryland's rush defense is any good. I think TreVeyon Henderson, he honestly, I'm not going to put him on the potential certified stud muffin watch list, but he's an asterisk on there. Okay? Florida State, Virginia Tech, minus 24. We're taking Virginia Tech in this game solely because Florida State's been pooping the bed lately. They've been showing nothing for me on tape, and I haven't been liking what I'm seeing. Minus 24, plus 24 for Virginia Tech. That's what we're going to take in this game. USC, Arizona. I like Arizona in this game. USC, I don't think they get their defense figured out. Nobody has seen anything to tell us otherwise. So minus 21, plus 21.5 for Arizona. Let's take that. Notre Dame at number 25, Louisville. This was the next game on my breakdown list, but I didn't want to get into this game. I've talked about Notre Dame a couple weeks in a row now. I think Notre Dame wins this game, and I think they win it outright. However, they're coming off 2 just exhausting weeks, so it wouldn't shock me if they lose the game, but I think they win it, and I think they cover. So Notre Dame minus 6.5. Alabama A&M, I just told you A&M's going to win because Evan Stewart's going to have an absolute day. Washington State at UCLA. UCLA is actually favored in this game, minus 3.5. I saw this stat. Something like 30 out of like the last 38 games, a top 25 team is playing a non-ranked team, but the non-ranked team is favored. 30 out of like the last 38 times, the non-ranked team that's favored wins the game. I think this is one of those exceptions. I think Washington State is a very good football team, and I think they win this game on the road in LA. Plus 3.5. I think they win it outright, and I think they cover this spread as well. North Carolina, Syracuse, minus 8.5. Syracuse, I don't even know what to think right now. North Carolina coming off their bye. I think they roll them. I think they cover this minus 8.5 easily. Oregon State at Cal. I love what Oregon State did last week. They shut down Utah. Their defense looked great. Offense looked pretty good against a tough Utah defense. I think Oregon State covers them minus 9.5 at Cal. Ole Miss, Arkansas. Now, Ole Miss just beat LSU in an absolute thriller last weekend. LSU coming off a shocker against Arkansas a couple weeks ago, where they almost lost. Minus 11's the spread. I like Ole Miss in this game. Arkansas is kind of a downer right now. They're not showing me anything. I like Ole Miss to cover the 11. Miami, Georgia Tech, minus 21. This is the second best team that Miami has played this year, other than A&M. And I think Miami struggles with Georgia Tech this year. I think they do. Coming off their bye. I like teams coming off their bye, not this one. I think Georgia Tech covers the plus 21, and I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Missouri, LSU. Another top 25 matchup. Shouldn't be a top 25 matchup because LSU doesn't even deserve to be anywhere near the top 25, so get them out of there. I like Missouri in this game. They're the underdogs, plus 6.5. I like them to cover that, and I like them to win the game outright. So much so, it's a lock of the week. I forgot to tell you the other locks of the week. North Carolina, Syracuse, minus 8.5. That was a lock of the week. And Texas, Oklahoma, minus 6. That was a lock of the week as well. So those are your 3 locks. Last game, Fresno State at Wyoming, minus 5.5. I like Fresno State in this game, minus 5.5. Fresno State's been balling out this year. I think they bounced back after a little bit of a lackluster game last week against Nevada. I think they bounced back. Gonna be a fun weekend, guys. Let me know in the comments what you're looking for this weekend in Week 6. Obviously, I'm looking forward to Red River Rivalry Kentucky, Georgia, and Alabama A&M. Going to be a fun weekend. Do we get a Cinderella type weekend where we're just in fantasy world and it's just one of the best weekends of college football of all time? Do we get that? We have the makings of it this weekend. I think we do. Going to be fun. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the show. So we're well on our way to sponsorship. I'm talking to a few companies. I'm not, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there eventually. Maybe it's 5-6 years from now. Who knows? But we're doing this thing. We're in this thing for the long haul. I'm enjoying myself, and hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Thank you for supporting it, and subscribe. I need those subscriptions. Hit them down below. It's going to be right down here. You know where it is, right below the video. Also, turn that like button on. Turn the alarm on or the bell or whatever you call it. Thanks for watching. That was my little plug. See you guys next weekend after the Week 6 recap. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Bye.